hello, ladies and gentlemen on the channel. We are in the Skyline with the faulty tires, or the failing tires, should I say. We're still in Alabama, making our way around the states in Orbex's Open Land class product, checking it out. For those of you who have not sort of watched the videos or maybe missed the comments before, we are flying what I like to refer to as Kenny Powers' Cessna Skyline, the A2A182, and we are flying it with some tires that the program is telling us are failing. If you look at the hanger, we see the tires will need replacing, the tires are showing considerable wear, and the nose wheel will need replacing soon. So that's not even the tire, I think that is actually the wheel, and I showed this in the beginning of my last stream. You can see some sort of, this plane looks pristine, but when you make it up to the front wheel, you see some weird sort of thing going on here. So this does not look entirely healthy anymore. Anyways, it's a great plane. I do love flying this plane. Yeah, we're making our way around the states in a light aircraft. Yesterday I flew out of Florida, Pensacola, which is not that far from here, I guess, but still, Florida is in it's not doing well right now. It's being hit by Hurricane Matthew. I shouldn't laugh, it's pretty serious business, but yesterday I also tried a little flight in the C-47, the Freebird C-47 down in what are these? Barbados? No, they're not. The Bahamas, and that was, yeah, unflyable weather. Let's put it that way. The winds pretty much just lifted the plane directly off the ground without me having to do any sort of roll. So very, very high winds. There's enough winds to achieve liftoff without engine power. So that was pretty severe. Not a video that's worth checking out if you're after tips or tricks, but if you're after some sort of yeah, if you ever wondered what a hurricane looks like in Prepared and what it would do to an aircraft, you can check out the video that I posted yesterday. Anyway, today we are heading from what I marked up here. So I still have yesterday's. Let's just change this a little bit to R5. We're heading from St. Elmo, and I think I may just make it just to Gulfport. If I feel like it, I'll make it to New Orleans, but it's pretty late and I'm tired. So I think we'll make it to Gulfport. Maybe you should find a more interesting. Let's go to Diamond Head. I really like Diamond Head, the point in, it's the 66Y, that's where we'll go. We'll go to 66Y. Diamond Head Point in the Pacific Northwest is an airport that I've owned for many years and really enjoyed. A really challenging little strip with a very narrow field, which is interesting. So yeah, today let's not try and flood the engine so much as I have been. Do a quick start, clear prop, and turn on the beacon. Yeah, started right up. I think I've been flooding the engine when I've been trying to start it the other times. Most of the time because I've been running the fuel pump for too long. Okay. Just need to align the switches with my joystick. Aligned correctly. Tune the weather while the GTN starts up.
Kilo Mike Oscar Bravo Airport information Delta 2156 Zulu weather wind 043 at 9er visibility 10 sky condition few clouds at 4,900 ceiling 7,000 broken ceiling 12,000 broken temperature 29er dew point 20 altimeter 29er Kilo Mike Oscar Bravo Airport information Echo 2156 Zulu weather wind 043 at 9er visibility 10 sky condition few clouds at 4,900 ceiling 7,000 broken ceiling 12,000 broken temperature 29er dew point 20 altimeter 29er 9er 4 5 on initial contact we have information Echo Kilo.
Neat, or weird, I guess, more like it. It's, did you hear that? It cut off my reading, right before it halfway through the QNH reading. That was kind of interesting. Okay, so it's not the longest flight. I think what we will do though is will also just graphically edit and add the GPT VOR on our way. Let's just have a quick scan of the flight here. So there are some airspace information here. So this one's 3,000 to 10,000, 1,900 to 10,000, and 10,000 to surface. Perhaps today we will, well, I will have to cross through that airspace anyway. We could climb to 12,000. And then maybe we'll do like a cross run here. Work our way back down. Like something like this, sort of, but it will extend out further past that waypoint. Okay, we'll try that. Let's see how it goes. It might be a kind of a poor decision. But you know, that's what makes it fun. Anyway, we're taking off runway 4, or I think it's 6 here. If I remember, yeah, runway 6. I hate it when I reset. One thing I really like is the soft clouds product from Rex. What I do not like is that it's so impossible to see any kind of preview of what the different clouds look. And right now, I think my clouds look terrible. These are not the clouds that I want. Not at all. These look like that over there. To me, looks not great, but it's just impossible to see the correct ones, and I can't recognize the ones I used to have. I just can't recognize them. Yeah. Let's see. I should turn the course indicator to 264. Almost due west, which is where we want to be going. Okay, let's do a quick run up. Prop feathered, and stick the mags. fuel. Well, temperature's pretty low, but I guess it's climbing. Everything else seems like it's in the green, apart from the suction, which I can't seem to move no matter what I do. Okay, let's do some flaps here, and let's announce our takeoff. Landing lights come off, fuel pump's already on. Beacon can come off. Because we'll have the wind will come in from our left side. So I'll expect some crosswind. Not a lot. Wait. I had to duck away there for a second. Okay, back to flying the aircraft. We are climbing. I think we're climbing a little slower than we did yesterday, but I'm also climbing a little, or going a little faster. At this point, it's safe to make our turn for our course. So yesterday I was talking about how I have in my little SimStarter NG utility, I set the affinity mask for all the utilities that start at the same time as prepared, and I set it to the last, well, basically the 3 threads on the 3 processors that are not running the main thread of prepared, and the 3 threads on those processors that are not running anything relating to prepared, to see if it would cure some of the stutters that I've been experiencing. And I have to say, at this point, it's looking really, really, really smooth. I did see some stutters yesterday in my flight, but I think it's an improvement. I think, I don't remember exactly what my affinity mask was, but 128 or 126, something like that. Basically, use the affinity mask calculator that you can find by googling affinity mask, and I set it for the 3 threads on all the cores, or well, not on core 0 or whatever it was, and it seemed to have done the trick. It was I'm really quite pleased with what I'm seeing so far, and I'm hoping I'll see more of it. I think this could be possibly have some of the answers, at least, to why I've been having some of the stutters I've been having. So look, I actually remember to turn off both the fuel lamp and the takeoff lights. Why don't we do a little checklist here? So the lights are off. We can probably bring the airplane down to 90. And let's bring the manifold pressure down into the green, which will probably should bring our fuel flow more or less into the green too. We are tuned to the CDI, or the CDI is tuned, HSI is tuned to the GPS, and we're on course. We are climbing at 100 knots, which is where we want to be. We are over Alabama, which is looking pretty great with OpenLC class US. Like, look at that. That's, to me, when I look in here, it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty realistic. Before it was just a flat, repetitive mess. And not worth visiting. I think that's not the case anymore. This is it's okay. It's granted. It's not like, I think so far my favorite has actually been the Smoky Mountains from this tour, from places I haven't visited before. I think the West Coast is amazing in the U.S. But on my little tour of the new places I visited, I think the Smoky Mountains. Wow, that was a great place. Like Mountain Air that I visited, and Heaven's Landing. Amazing little airstrips. Really challenging. Really fun. Beautiful areas. Sorry, I had to sneeze there, so I had to cut off my mic. Yeah, no, really cool. Well worth checking out. Florida, yeah, not so much, but even that looks pretty great with this. Then, kind of have a soft spot for South Carolina because it also has, and the North Carolina because it has Kitty Hawk, or basically, where the Wright brothers first flew from, first flight, which I also visited in my series. I posted all my prequel videos, by the way. I don't know if anyone's checked them out. They don't have any narration, and I was struggling big time with the recording when I made those videos. I had just a lot of problems getting a smooth and sort of stutter-free recording happening. I don't think I can make this. I guess I can make this altitude happen by then, but this weather is not looking good either. You know what? I'll try it. Let's go for it. Let's go for 10,000 feet. Where was I? Well, I uploaded my prequels, which basically took me from roughly out of Washington D.C. I think I started recording once I left Washington D.C. and from there it takes me into the Smoky Mountains and further south towards Mountain Air, and then out to First Flight, and from there down to Charlotte. Actually, Charlotte came before Mountain Air. Yeah. Getting a little bit confused the order here, but anyway, I went to Kitty Hawk, and then I went to Charlotte, and then I went to Mountain Air, and from there I left and I went further south. I don't know, some of the flights were really, really interesting, but they're not that great quality for stream recording wise. Like I said, I think at that point I was still running unlimited frames, which works really fine for me, but it just did not work well for recording. Now I'm running 30 frames, locked 30 frames per second, which seems to be better for recording. Well, I'm losing my losing controller. I'm hand flying as always. I try and hand fly. I think it's more fun that way. For me, more challenging. And these little, I mean, they're not. The systems aren't that challenging, so I need something to make it work. I think I want to actually turn on the heat in here, the pitot. Turns out I turn on the parking brake. That was not the point. Let's see. Yeah, well, it's 16 degrees out, but I don't know. Clouds worry me. See, of course, it's very easy to, you really do lose orientation when you're in the soup like this. But we are climbing, and we are proceeding roughly on course. It's fun though, flying IFR. I like it. It's very challenging. It's not that pretty. Yeah, anyway. Prequels are out there, so they're in their own playlist on my channel, so you can check them out if you want to. I especially recommend checking out the Mountain Air flying. Mountain Air was fantastic. It's the flying was spectacular. I didn't even see the field until I was right on top of it, and I was like, what? I think it's so far my favorite of the freeware airstrips that I visited with the Orbex freeware airstrips. I also saw some really cool ones up in New York and Connecticut, but not like this. This was very cool. Lake Placid in New York, New York State. New York State's beautiful. That was another takeaway from this tour so far. It's really interesting and beautiful. Okay, so it's 7,000. Will we make it, do you think? 10,000 to 3,000, we're squarely in the area now. I think we'll probably not make it, but let's see. Why don't we try the navigation visuals? I don't know, this is a new feature of this is a new feature in prepared version 3.49 or whatever it's called. I guess it doesn't just show. Oh, here it is. Is it already showing that we're inside the airspace? No, there's an airspace down there. So these boxes that it's drawing in the sky is basically a visual representation of the airspace. But I guess it's not showing with this airspace right here. It's showing me the Bravo airspace or whatever it's called down here. The Gulfport Biloxi airspace. But it's not showing me this one. I guess because it's not technically restricted in the same way. I don't know too much about airspaces, but I know they have different protocols for who to contact when. You know what we'll do? Let's try and climb above it, and let's keep it that way. I'll turn off these navigation visuals. It's a neat tool though. I could see that being really useful for someone who's, well, if you're trying to get used to a new area of operations or something for real life, that's really, really handy to get your head around the complicated airspaces where you live. I could actually see that being a really handy, really, really good training tool. I think we slipped over into it. Just barely. But we did. My bad. Sorry, controllers. See, the clouds don't look half bad when you're up next to them, but I just don't like this look here. That looks too repetitive, too patchworky. Yeah, maybe we should lean the mixture a bit here. We're getting quite high. AGT temperature is rising. I can really detect much of a change in the sound volume here. So obviously, being a non-pressurized cockpit, you want to be careful about how high you go to. A2A models hypoxia, so if you go too high, your pilot will pass out. I've done that once before. I didn't notice it. I didn't realize what I was doing until it was too late. And the pilot died, or at least he passed out. And I had to, basically, you just can't do anything, and the plane keeps going until it runs out of fuel. Pretty disconcerting. You realize what you just did. And at the same time, it's kind of interesting too, because you know that it's painless in real life. You just get tired and people fall asleep, so it could happen. I just want to show. That's one thing I want to show here, and that's the. Oh, this maybe isn't news, but it's the ventilation. The ventilation. I don't know what's called. Box that opens. This, you can see it there, right in the middle of the Greyhound, Cougar-y Tiger thing. So you see it here. This guy is directly linked to this guy. So if I close it, and you see it's closed. It's closed. Isn't that neat? Yeah, anyways. A2A do a great job. Okay, so done another full circle almost. And we're coming up on 10,000 feet finally. And we get a new barometric reading.
Kilo Quebec, Lima Airport information, Golf 215, Zulu weather, wind 043, at 9er, visibility 10, sky conditions, few clouds at 4,900, ceiling 7,000, broken, ceiling 12,000, broken, temperature 29er, 2.20, altimeter 29er, 9er, 45 on initial contact, Golf, Kilo Quebec.
It's the same, so that's cool. That means we are actually above 10,000 feet, and I think we are good to go and traverse our airspace here. It's probably not. If this was real life, we'd just probably radio up the tower and ask for permission. But since this is not real life, and we've been flying most of our things pretty low, yeah, let's do it this way. Let's do some IFRN. Not the worst place to practice some simple IFR procedures either, because it is pretty flat underneath us. We're not going to smack into some mountain that we just forgot to check. Okay, so let's bring the RPMs down. And let's see here. Is actually climbing. I'm a little worried actually about the sound of this engine. It almost sounds like it's turn on the defrosters. It's cold up here, only 9 degrees. Let's trim the aircraft for some actual speed. Need that after wasting so much time coming up here. See, it's still climbing the EGT. The EGT is the temperature of the exhaust gas coming out of the engine. And basically, if the fuel is too rich, the fuel won't fully vaporize in the engine, the mixture is too rich, the fuel won't fully vaporize in the engine, and as far as I understand it, and fuel will actually, and the leftover fuel will actually cool the engine and the exhaust temperature. So by properly leaning the engine, you can actually look for the peak of the exhaust gas temperature. And when you find the peak exhaust gas temperature, that means that you're giving the engine exactly the amount of fuel that it requires for that specific altitude, and nothing less or nothing more. So you can see it's still coming up. I just tried leaning it a bit more. So that's a good sign. Or not a good sign in its own right, but it's a sign that we can keep leaning if we want. And if you look at the cockpit here in the A2Ace, it has this little reference needle that you can move around, so you don't have to constantly remember what it is. You also should try and listen to the engine, because you'll hear it sort of sputter and moan when you pull it too far. It's easier to do without the headphones plugged in. So, yeah. To see the true airspeed, you align this altitude here with roughly what the temperature it is outside. So we're at roughly, we're at 12, and it's 6 degrees outside. So that means we're doing 130 some in true airspeed, and we have a 10 knot tailwind, which leads us to 137 ground speed, which is roughly the same here as what it's indicating. So yeah, that's about it. There's no real reason for doing that in a sense, because we do have all the information we need here on our GTN, but if it were to fail on us, we could try and figure some things out that way. Are we getting to the part where I'm sort of scared of leaning anymore? Yeah, see, we're kind of peaking here. It only rose 3 little degrees from our previous. Yeah, I think I want to bring it back in a little bit. And we have to be careful not to climb anymore, because we are almost at the altitude where we will definitely be getting hypoxia, which is when the brain is deprived of oxygen. At least I think that's the word of that, because I'm confusing it with something else, which happens. Weird that there is no traffic, was what I was thinking, but it's not that weird since Ultimate Traffic 2 has not started. When we started. I've been having troubles since I moved over to Prepared. I've been having issues getting prepared. Just now Ultimate Traffic 2 to start with Prepared. SimStarter NG seems to take care of it most of the time, but it could be that something happened yesterday when I was messing with the affinity mask. That's our airspace coming alive. You can see traffic right away. Back in the stutters, huh? I saw a few stutters already. I mean, obviously, every time you start Ultimate Traffic 2, there seems to be a big stutter. Or there is. It doesn't seem to be. There is a big stutter when you start it. And that's related to basically loading, initializing the traffic, I think, and populating all the routes with planes and AI models. That makes sense to me. But, yeah, I did see some stutters now. Almost immediately following that. Let's see. Okay. Let's try and let's tune some radios and do some pilot stuff. Do some of that pilot shit, as they say in the movies. So let's tune the ADF to 221. Fun. That's that one alive. And why don't we also tune this guy just so we have it. Double checked. Yeah, 279 is our next heading. And I think what we can do is we can switch the HSI over in VLOC mode. So tune to the nav1 radio. So once this needle starts to move, we'll do a right turn to the setting. And I think once we do that too, we should maybe start thinking about, it's a little early I guess. Well, at one point we need to start thinking about losing some altitude. I think, well, once we leave this airspace, let's do that. Which seems to be it doesn't say how many miles that is, but that's a few miles from the DMA. We'll watch the GPS basically. Once we clear this, we'll start descending. I see some water. Got a simple north-south runway. It's got no ILSs, no VORs. So it's gonna be probably a fully visual left traffic pattern, 3,800 feet runway. It's at an elevation of 75 feet. Okay, cool. Okay, we're getting ready to leave the Bravo airspace now. So I think it's about time to start the descent. funny, look at the needle deflect. Do you wonder what's doing that? Maybe the antenna, like this is the kind of detail that A2A does, right? Like maybe the antenna somehow is located in a way so that it will be affected by the attitude at which I fly or something. I don't know. It's kind of neat. Yeah, I need to get myself back on that track. So now it really is pure IFR flying until we come out the other end of this cloud base. Just clouds. Ideally, I want to have a faster speed while I'm descending, not this fast of a descent rate though. This is kind of worrying. A really heavy tailwind. I think that's what's messing with me a little bit. It should be enough to just drop the power, but turn on the yoke here so you can see what I'm doing too. But I think the tailwind is what's trying to sort of tip me over, tip me forwards. It certainly is. It doesn't want to have. I'm trying to, like, it seems to maintain the speed, right? Look at it, it's going like at roughly 116. Wow, it's dropping speed, but it's also just going faster and faster down. Why is that? So I think the cloud base should be around 3,000 to 4,000 feet. We're at 8,000 currently. We are dropping in a very erratic fashion, but we are dropping. Okay, here we go. We're coming through the cloud there. We can see. I think this is Mississippi State. Yeah, we're in Mississippi, a new state. Pretty short flight away from the previous one. Do you hear that? something's. Oh, I know what it is. I forgot to bring my mixture into the fuel tank. Oh yeah. See, I leaned it so heavily, and I forgot to put the fuel back into the system. So the airport is almost directly behind me. It's this other airport that I can see back there. Yeah, KHSA. So let's do a turn. Do like a right turn here, and then we'll do a left turn, and to bring us back on course on the approach. See, honestly, that's what makes A2A so great. That you can you fly it and you hear little sounds like that. You hear it something sputter and something that sounds like it's flapping in the wind, and you just like, that doesn't sound right. And you start investigating what it is, and then you're like, oh, and you see, oh, there's black smoke coming out, and then your brain goes, oh yeah, that's because I'm not giving enough fuel to the engine, and you are able to add the fuel to the engine and do it properly. This is why I love A2A aircraft. It's not like I remember reading about it a few years back, and I was like, well, come on, who cares if the oil pressure is modeled correctly or whatever. I just want the aircraft to sort of feel right. But honestly, it adds so much to the realism and the experience of flying the plane. It makes it so much more realistic when you have all these things modeled. It just behaves like the real airplane behaves, or at least closer to how the real airplane behaves, and it gives you a better chance of sort of learning from other sources, from real books or real instructional videos online. But it also just sort of gives you, I don't know, it really does something to how the aircraft feels, I think. So anyway, we have a southerly runway. Let's actually get the weather real quick.
Kilo, Hotel, Sierra, Alpha, Airport Information, India, 2152, Zulu, weather, wind, 142 at 7, visibility, 10, sky condition, 4,700, scattered, temperature, 282.20, altimeter, 2993, advise on initial contact, you have information, India, Kilo, Hotel, Sierra, Alpha, Airport Information, India, 215.
Okay, so 124, so that does mean we will be landing towards the south. Diamond Head, Diamond Traffic, select a runway for landing, runway 18, announce full stop landing, announce position. I think we're far enough. Torpedoes can come off. It's 24 degrees outside, but let's put our landing light on. Let's put our fuel pump on. I can see the field over there because the field's terrible ground poly textures. I wonder if Orbex actually corrects them, or if it just feels like they correct them. At least the freewares look great because they have good ground polish that kind of blend with the scenery, and you actually have to hunt for the airfields if they don't have a beacon or lights. But yeah, the default ones still stick out. So we're at 2,000 feet. I think when we're directly at beam of when we cross the course, we'll start a slowed approach. So basically, when this needle is pointing perpendicular to the direction of travel. Then we're a beam of the ADF there, our original plotted course, and we're at 2,000 feet, and I think that should be roughly a good place to start the approach. I don't know how many miles that is, but it looks about right. Landscapes though, huh? There's some more of that Florida mudflat thing going on. Okay, that's enough. We'll cut the power for a while here, and I think we'll announce our final. And I think we will wait for a second notch of flaps. See if we can do it on one. It's a fairly significant wind, crosswind here coming in, so it's time to get the crab dialed in. For those of you who don't know, the crab is basically pointing your nose into the wind to compensate for the wind trying to blow you away. So the wind's coming from over here and it's blowing me this way, so I need to point this way to sort of compensate for it pushing me that way. This is too much crab, but I want to do that because I was going a little too far to the right. So we need to find a decent amount of crab that will compensate for the wind but not drift us further on. Of course, you can see it here too in my GPS. You see the plane is facing slightly to the left of the runway, slightly too much to the left of the runway, but you know, you can see what I'm talking about. Let's turn on the taxi light and show them that we mean it, that we plan to land. At this point I'm taking the crab out because we are too far to the left. So we got a good descent going, and we got a good approach speed going. A little fast, we can close it off a little bit, but I'll try and do that and see how that goes. This is the thing, if I take off the throttle like I did, what the Cessna's going to do is it's going to drop your descent rate to compensate, to keep going at 80, which is what we're trimmed for. And I think, if anything, that's what the flaps does on the most on a 182, is it kind of drops that speed for you. And without sort of giving you that sort of almost, well, I don't know, I feel like it's like a highly loaded wing if you don't use the flaps, and it's very easy to drop below where you want to go. Like this right now, it's a really stable approach. I'm not touching the controls at all, it's just going down like this. But if I didn't have the flaps in, I think I'd be chasing everything a bit more, because I'd have to basically have the power completely off to make it happen. Okay, so I'm going to try and not touch down before the piano keys, which I always tend to do in these types of situations. Whoa, little bounce. Nice second landing though, that's pretty good. Not half bad, not half bad. I always forget that my tires are messed up, but they are they held on for another landing. I wonder for how much longer they'll keep hanging on. I really am dying to see them fail. Part of me just wanted to do touch and goes until they fail, but you know what? That's boring too. So yes, parking brake can come on. Your cowl flaps are closed. Pitot heat comes off. Beacon should come on. Obviously, I should have done that a long time ago. And yeah, we can cut the fuel here. Turn off the avionics. Turn off the beacon. Magnetos and power. Yeah. Once again, I think couldn't say anything else than that. We made it again. And Kenny Power's plane is keeping on, and it's not having any problems with its worn out tires that it keeps warning me about, but they seem fine. They seem to be in good shape, actually. Okay, let's, why don't we tie this guy up, put it on the pitot cover, put on tie downs and wheel tracks this time, and we'll even empty the plane, and we'll reload it with different passengers once we get going again. Yeah, control lock. I can't set the control lock, probably because I put the tie downs and stuff on. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the flight. If you did, feel free to subscribe or leave a comment. If you, I was going to say, have any requests of planes to fly or things to try, go ahead. I have two sort of playlists going, which is the US tour, and I also have a Norway tour. So that's going to be the main focus of this channel, but I'll also do other things from time to time that are just sort of more random, like the hurricane flight and the C-47 and that sort of stuff. Well, anyway, thanks for now. Feel free to subscribe or like or leave a comment. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.